Hey everybody, welcome to Jet Live. I'm here with Miriam Metzinger. I got it right this time, right?
Yeah, you did.
I've been practicing. I think
Good.
every time that I say who's coming on in a few days, I've been practicing.
Well, I like to say don't shoot the messenger. So, but that's just an expression. If the name is Metzinger, I think
Don't shoot the Metzinger.
Yeah.
So Miriam, how's it going? How are things?
Good, good. It's strange going out. Isn't it weird? The first time you went out, I was like, oh, it's sort of like we're like,
Yeah.
Go to some place you don't usually go. Like I would take walks, but yeah, it's kind of like weird, like having people come up to me and talk. Am I supposed to? Oh yeah, okay, that's all right.
Yeah, I went to the office the first time yesterday. We're at Crossroads, and
Yeah.
and it was interesting, but it was good to just step into there and be like, I'm back, and
Yeah.
just roam around and look at the space. So it's a very different space now because of all the guidelines.
How so?
So the just where the like we're using the open space where we usually have the kids do cool things there as office space because you have to have a separation between all the social workers and the people who work there. And there's other places where they just did a lot of cleaning. So I wonder if that happens at other people's work. I know that it's not true. I know that there's workspaces that they didn't really do anything to really change. There's workspaces that are really delving into the guidelines, and it really depends. Each person has a choice. Each company has a choice in a way of how they deal with it, but as long as they're keeping to certain guidelines, I guess.
Somebody's
Yeah.
office
So
that got infested with bees. I know somebody's office. They went back to their office and it was infested with bees because
bees.
no one was there. Yeah,
Someone left
bees.
honey there.
Little tiny bees, not the big honey, not the big, but the little
Wow.
ones. Yeah,
No,
curious.
honeybees actually don't sting.
Yeah, I know, but people
Is
still
that,
get
is that,
scared.
isn't that isn't that interesting? You would think, yeah, they do get scared.
Yeah, cute though. I
I
mean,
know a few people who are very scared of bees, including Macaulay Culkin. No.
some
No,
people are scared. Not Macaulay Culkin. He's not
no,
scared of Michael Jackson. I mean,
my girl, the movie.
oh,
Uh,
I think.
it was a reference. So what have you been up to? I know that you write a lot. You're
Yeah.
writing all the time. You've written for Jet as well. You've done a couple of blog posts for us. Your play. Oh, by the way, just I was mentioning to you before, but I'll mention everybody who's watching. The In a Stranger's Grave, Miriam's play that was produced by Theater and Theology this past year that I was in. I had a beard in the beginning and then I shaved it because I decided it wasn't the right time for me to have a beard with that role. But now maybe I would have a beard if I played the role again. Who knows? Now that I got used to it so much. But anyways, there was a photo on Facebook saying like, "Hey, you did this last year," and it was a really nice picture of the cast. We were in the Khan at about this time, putting on the first shows. And it was really a really powerful, very meaningful piece. And you wrote that. It got produced here. So what are you up to now?
Well, I recently finished something that I started on Hanukkah because the way I write's really weird. I can't do a little bit every day. I have to have like a week off work. I know it's crazy, and just do one draft, and then I let it sit for a while to my next vacation, and then I forget about it, and then I go through it again, and then I just go through it until it's and then I have someone read it. There are a few people I with my sort of readers, and I send it to them, and they say, no, that's not good, that's fine, and it back. Then I have a few people read it, and then I send it to someone. So yeah, and then I usually have an idea. I usually have like a list that I've got something else waiting. So start that, and that's that's
So that's not a bad. That's an amazing process to really. As we were talking, I was talking to Gadi Zaid, Azai. See, I can't pronounce his last name well either, or at least I don't know if I am. When we were speaking,
pronunciation of his last name.
Yeah. We talked about focus, and he's in college now, and to be focused, and that's important to really. I try to write sometimes, and I always bug myself out from doing it because I'm like, I don't have enough time now. So it's good to have like set aside time to write, and taking that time also to step back and sit on it and see what comes up and then come back to it. You see so many new things when you do that. So that sounds really good. That sounds really good. But you're probably not just writing during that week of vacation where you're like.
I get crazy. Here's the thing. Like I write plays very differently than I used to write fiction. I also write fiction, but I don't. I've been spending more time with plays. Like Paul Auster, like when he lived in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, and he didn't know me on a first name basis, but I used to listen to him talk and read. And he always said, make some time every day to write. And I found that worked really well with fiction, like especially doing something long, just take an hour, a couple for plays. Everyone's different. And sometimes something that's good for someone is not good for someone else. But for me, it just has to be just, I have to get that first act out, or for me to take a break, because I'm hearing the characters, and once I start hearing them, I can't tell them to shut up. I mean, except if they go to sleep.
Yeah.
But I am not kidding you. I've been actually trying to work out dialogue, but I have to go to the store because my kid and I we have to eat. And so I've actually sat there with a phone, pretending I was talking on the phone, trying to work out some dialogue. Because I just it was bugging me, and I couldn't write. I was walking, and I was pretending to talk on the phone.
Wow, this classic. You have actors on the subway or walking outside, and they're just talking to themselves, and you're just like all of that. You've directed before, right?
New York, you could walk, turn around, walk, or talk to yourself, and no one would know. No one would care. Here, you've got to pretend.
Maybe. So you're an actress as well. So you're really seeing all that when you're writing. So you're like acting it out, the characters, the dialogue as you're going. That's so amazing. You've also directed before?
Oh yeah. Well, it was a long time since I've done that. I did that a lot I did theater in college, and then I did theater. I went to Oxford and studied classics there. And as we said before, I spent more time doing theater than I did actually in the library. And my grades kind of showed it, but I passed. And so I did a lot of directing there because of my American accent. Mm-hmm. Because they were doing a lot of English plays and a lot of Shakespeare. And I hate to say it, but sometimes in England, people get this, not so much anymore. In the National, I saw some American actors or Canadian actors, but some people, old-fashioned people, had this thing of if it's not an English accent, you got to do English accent for Shakespeare. So I ended up, I didn't direct any Shakespeare, but I assistant directed As You Like It, and then other things. And I was in some American type shows, but they didn't do many of those. So I did a fair amount of directing. I directed my own work in England. And then I did a directing class at HB. No, it wasn't HB actually. It was a directing workshop in New York. I studied HB acting in New York after I finished in England, but I don't think they offer direct. They offer directing for advanced students, but I took a directing course, intensive workshop, but I haven't done it in a long time. No.
But But you're in shows almost every other month over here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like do maybe like 3 instead of 6, a year.
Well, yeah, you had high praise yesterday when I was speaking with Aviella. So I don't know if you'll be able to get away with that.
Oh, well, I need to have Aviella's. I feel so bad. I had a meeting at the same time. I wanted to hear it, so I'll listen to Aviella's because I had a meeting for something about putting off our project, how we're going to have to put it off, and because of Corona.
Yeah. So. But so So which like how In a Stranger's Grave, that wasn't your first play being produced. Which number was that?
Oh,
I don't
I
know if I
don't.
even asked you.
Trying
You
to
don't.
I can't get I did something called Laps, and there were like 5 productions of that in
Yeah.
Ohio and Indiana, and it won a prize in England. It won the Oxford first year award for best play, and then it was done. I don't know where else. It was done somewhere else in America. And then there was something called Low Ceiling, which also was produced all those places again in England. And then I did another one, which was sort of a satire. I don't know. Let me just guess. Like that, I did monologue show. I think I did a full length play that had a reading, but wasn't quite produced. So it's like about 7. It's
Well,
like now 8 because I finished another one, but I don't know. It hasn't been produced. I don't know. If it's I hope it gets produced, but I count by production rather than writing attempts because
right.
you know.
Writing's always happening.
Yeah, I mean, I have to count by if it's at least got a reading, and
Yeah.
if I didn't, I try again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. So the thing about accents, like that you were saying before, it's actually really interesting because I met with someone here in Israel, um, at a theater studio, and I spoke to them about that specific thing. They don't really do accent training here, but in the States they have General American that they try to teach everybody, and they have tons of accents, and there's like all these accent books in a library in Lincoln Center, and then in England, all of these actors that would have no idea they're English are all in these movies and stuff because they focus on that a lot in the in
Yeah, but I think I think that I've heard some things on the West End. I've heard they have American accent, but it's the wrong region. Like I remember it was on the West End, and it was a David Mamet play, and this guy was speaking like he's from the South. It's like, or I would say there was a very famous.
maybe he got mixed up with Tennessee Williams.
I'm just saying that I don't want to take anything away from the English theater. It's great. London is the best theater town, ever. But
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
it's not perfect. I mean, you sometimes hear some things that are shocking. Like there was a really big production. I don't want to say what it was. What I love so much. It was in London. The guy who played the lead, who's supposed to be American, didn't even try to do an American accent at all. And it was a big deal that he was supposed to be American. It's like, how did this happen?
Well,
You know?
I'm watching Streetcar Named Desire right now,
Oh, that was
with
fantastic.
Gillian Anderson,
That is
and
amazing.
and
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Ben Foster is gonna have some kind of weird accent, but there's something in there, and sometimes like because he's Polish, or he's got a Polish background. But so far it's really good. I find it fascinating that her accent and the actress, I can't remember her name now, who's playing Stella, is very different, and because those accents are so heavy, like Blanche, like Gillian or Jillian, Jillian, her accent is so heavy, so southern that the actress who's playing Stella, you could hear when she falls out of it because her
Well,
accent isn't as heavy. So it's
well,
really interesting.
yeah, I think Blanche is putting it on. She's playing a stereotype. They're very different people. So
Yeah.
I
Oh, for sure, for
think
sure.
yeah, I think they did a great job with that. But
Yeah.
the things that I mentioned, the couple accent things in the West End, that's an aberration. Usually the English actors are trained very well with accents, I have to say. But some
Oh, for
Americans are too.
sure.
Yeah. So
Well, we have great we've had great shows like you did Steel Magnolias here, and the accents in that show were fabulous. And sometimes it's chosen not to really necessarily have accents. It's always the thing with the shows for Yom HaShoah. Do we have an accent for the Germans or do we not? And if everybody's going to have an accent or some people will or whatnot, yeah, there's always that conversation.
or how to sound
But
like a
there is there yeah. Well, they used to, what they used to do in London. It was like if you had a British accent, you were German, but if you had a non-British accent, then you were British. I forgot what it was. It's something like that. Like they would have the Germans had a different accent, but it wasn't necessarily German. And all the like older.
I have to give some credit for someone. You mentioned Still Magnolias. Evan Goodall was our accent coach. I just want to like mention that.
He's awesome.
You know? Yeah, no, that was really
awesome.
He did a great job because that's his.
Not only as an accent coach, apparently he's also an amazing dancer.
Oh, really?
Did you know that? Sorry, Evan. I'm giving away.
I've got to ask people to dance and see.
I found out that he does what is it, flamenco? No, I forgot what he has. He teaches some kind of dance form. But it's just amazing the talents that people have in our community that you don't even know. I mean, there's so many people that, or a few people, so many people. There's a lot of people in the community that you wouldn't even know them coming on stage and acting, that they have so many other talents that they do in their regular day lives, and they come to rehearsal and you have no idea. It's very hard to find out about it. So this is like a really cool space to hear about all the different things that people do. But it's just so interesting because probably in the audition forms they ask like, what other talents do you have? All the directors and producers kind of see if people want to share it with them. They'll see what all these people have interest in or what they do. But then as actors, we come on stage and we're acting, but we don't necessarily see everything else like that's in the back. Like I didn't necessarily know. I think when was Assassins? 2 years ago? No, it wasn't last year.
It was 3 years ago.
3 years?
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were a writer then, like that you like. Maybe I don't remember. I think we talked about it a little bit, like about doing the vlog a little bit afterwards. But like during that time, it was just like you were a killer.
I love this. That was a lot of fun.
I had trouble with it, but it was a lot of fun for the most. So I loved the show. I was very interested in doing it, and then just like the character took over. Sometimes you got to take a step back. Yeah.
Well, I remember Hinckley. I remember when Hinckley was, or when Reagan was shot by Hinckley. It was my uncle, my great uncle's funeral actually happened at the same time, and it was really weird. It was a weird time.
I don't think I was born.
No. I mean, it wasn't like Kennedy. And then Reagan was joking on the way to the hospital, and he was like, okay. And we were shot, but apparently he took it well. But his James Brady, one of his men, got injured really badly. Anyway, this is very dark. It's very dark.
Well, Reagan was an actor too, right? And then he had all these talents, and then he went on to be the president of the United States.
Right.
He probably was in some act. Was he in action films? I don't know if I ever seen a Reagan film.
One of the people used to make fun of the fact that he did Bedtime for Bonzo. He was in hokey little. He was in very dramatic roles, and then he was also did this film with a chimpanzee named Bonzo. It was a goofy film. He did goofy films and dramatic.
Maybe I shall look up those films sometime. I don't think I've ever seen Reagan.
When he was a guy who lost his legs in battle, he goes, "Where's the rest of me? Where's the rest of me?" And when he was president and he couldn't remember anything, people would joke, "Where's the?" But he didn't know where the rest of him was. Okay, so that people were kind of, people make fun of heads of state.
Yeah, we always I mean that's why they become presidents, so we can make fun of them, right?
Exactly. People have these metrics who's going to be president. I always think it's the funny looking one. Almost always the one who like even Obama was a very attractive guy, but he had these ears. Like he would make fun of his ears a lot. He said I have the ears of Alfred Newman. It's like if you can draw a political cartoon, the one you can most easily draw a political cartoon of usually wins.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because usually it's like people say the charismatic, handsome guy, or is that?
It seems like the opposite. It seems like it's because there are a lot of charismatic, handsome guys that didn't get in, like John Edwards. Yeah. Well, there's a scandal, And then there was Gary Hart. You don't remember him? Ran up for Reagan. He's a nice, generic, handsome dude, and he also got into trouble with the lady. But like, it's often the funny-looking ones. Oh, Kennedy was handsome, but okay. But usually,
So what are you working on now? Like, what is? Can you tell us a little bit about it? Like, is it history, fiction? Like, is it dealing with all these? You seem to know a lot about these presidents. Maybe you're writing something.
Oh no, it's not interesting. The one I just wrote is also about a controversial issue, but it's on a different controversial issue. And there's more comedy in it, I think, if they let me keep it in. There's a little bit more comedy in it. It's not sort of the Sophocles type of Greek tragedy type of like, it's kind of more, the people are more, and there's more of a diversity of different types of people. There's a couple Haredim, but they're also modern Orthodox, and they're also secular, people who are secular, and people from overseas, and Israeli professionals, and it's more of a different people from different, and it's a little, I think the pace is a little less like, it's a little bit more, there are conversations, about the airport, not a waste of time, but just, there's a little bit more comedy, a little more character work, but it's still about something pretty controversial. And I don't want to talk about Morgan unless it's done. And then I'm collaborating with somebody on like a jukebox musical type thing. I would say jukebox musical, but it's about two musicians. I'm gonna do and we're working on that. And then I'm writing something new, which is kind of historical, and it's also action. It's action historical. Mm-hmm. It's very Jewish. It's a very Jewish story, but it's very sort of exciting. So,
I love it. We can't make copies of you, but I hope that people get inspired by what you're doing here in Jerusalem as part of the community. I always talk about original work, more original work being put up here, and I think that now is a perfect time where we have that opportunity to really focus on what we can create here as a theater world, where other theater worlds are kind of like going to be waiting for us. I don't know how Broadway's gonna. They're still talking about. I mean, Ken Davenport, who I got inspired to do this from. He keeps sending out emails about or blogs about what the Broadway future is going to look like, and I wrote something like that recently too. But I think it'll be really cool to have the opportunity for people to do things here that are original, are written by people like you. It's so inspiring. It's so awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
That's so different from each other, and it's also really cool. Like each thing that you're working on. One's like a jukebox musical, as you said. One's action history, and then the other is a little bit comedy, controversial. There's like some people like when they write, they're focused on like one kind of thing usually, and you're like working on three different types of projects, which is really.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because sometimes when people I would kind of dread something and kind of envy at the same time. Like someone like Harold Pinter has his name Pinteresque in the Oxford English Dictionary, like talking about a style, or Mametesque or whatever. And you think, wow, someone's really made it if they've got something in the Oxford English Dictionary, a word like about their style. But then also like people could say, oh yeah, that style, so we don't get to choose though. I mean, I think that it's just, people choose to remember what they remember, but someone might remember someone as just doing serious plays when maybe they did some funny plays, or doing very intellectual plays, like Tom Stoppard. People think Tom Stoppard is always very intellectual, and he is, but he also wrote the screenplay for Billy Bathgate and Brazil, and some of the things with a lot of sort of action in them and not just intellectualism. So you never know what people are up to on the side, in terms of work.
Especially when it comes to writing, because you could just be writing in your house all these different things, and not everything's going to get produced. Like you're not going to have everything be published and produced. So you could have like a huge comedy on the side that no one ever sees, and everything else is really serious. That's what I love about who is it? Paul Rudd always fascinates me because when I learned about him and what he's done, he started from a very dramatic, like he did a lot of dramatic roles in the beginning, and then like he's now like people recognize him for his comedy chops. So it's like, when you're able to kind of like be able to do both is really cool.
Or it's like Todd Phillips, who wrote The Hangover, which is a very funny movie, and then he wrote The Joker, which is, totally different, that kind of thing, maybe.
The Hangover was sort of crazy. I didn't see 2 or 3. Did I see 2?
Yeah. But you didn't know. You probably didn't know. For instance, you don't know what else I'm writing. Like, for instance, you probably didn't know that the other day I wrote an article about the best face paint to use at a football game to paint your face. That wasn't the title of it. Like I write content, like nonsense content to make money, and it's just weird. I get like something's like how to build an indoor pool. It's article.
You gotta just
the pop it's extra money. Look, it's extra money. So
when I had Luna from the Philippines, she said basically that like she has her writing that she does, but she also has all the things that she has to do in order to pay the bills, make something. And sometimes it's not necessarily a project that she's as interested in, but that's as a writer, like you do that kind of stuff, and it's great that you can like to be able to write about pools and just and wait, was it American football or soccer?
American football, and the article was rejected because this person said, "Miriam, I know your work. I know you write for us. I know that you don't really know how to build an indoor pool, but the article was good enough. I can tell by reading this face paint for football. I know you have no idea what you're talking about, so I have to reject it." Sorry.
Oh man.
I mean, sometimes I can fool them, sometimes I can't.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And that's why some things are just is left on the side. I don't even understand face paint at football games. I've never been to a live football game actually. I played and I referee here in Israel, but I have no idea about what the deal is with face paint. It's like a war tradition, but why? Like
it's some primal thing, like trying to feel, like primal war thing when like Braveheart people paint their face and like sorry to mention Braveheart.
I mean, I rather read about the pool than face paint. It'd probably be more interesting to me.
Yeah.
I actually I was once in an indoor basketball basketball court, and that was just crazy. Never seen something like it in my life. It's like this house, and the basement was a basketball court.
Really?
Like a huge I bet it's like the same kind of technology of how they do the bomb shelters here. They dig underneath and they make this, but they did this in the States in some house that I was at, and they were like, come downstairs and see what we have here. And I'm like, what is going on here? Yeah, it was huge.
Sounds intense. All these homes are big in America, right?
Well, in this particular town, it's either huge or it's very nice, and then it depends. I mean, that's where I grew up, and then I moved here.
Yeah.
I lived in one of those houses where every nook and cranny, there was like different things just like all over the place. And then we had to downsize coming to Israel, but you learn to appreciate it, like what you have, where you're at, Lost a lot of books.
Yeah.
Had to
I found so many
lots of
books that I thought I'd never see again at these outdoor libraries. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I found my high school my American high school history book, which I loved. I love my history book, and I found that there. I found just books that I thought they're just not, so common.
Yeah, I just actually gave a bunch of books from my parents' house that they're cleaning up my room, so they took a bunch of books, and my dad last week put them all at, I think, by the Masaryk outdoor library over there. So,
whenever I see a play, I take it.
Yeah.
I don't give up. I don't give up the plays. Even after I read them, I keep them. Like Streetcar Named Desire, I'm really going to give away my copy of Streetcar Named Desire. No.
No way.
No,
I think I have. I actually like Leah Stoller. Also, she was mentioned last night. She was giving away plays, and I went and I took a bunch of them. And I keep them on the side here. I actually look through them during the beginning of this to see which plays would be good to read.
Well, if anyone wants to let me Neil Simon, I'm really looking for a lot of Neil Simon right now. I just have this urge to read a lot of Neil Simon because I can order it from Book Depository, but just if anyone doesn't want it, or they want to lend it, or
I might have two.
Service announcement.
I might have one or two Neil Simons. You know who did a few Neil Simon plays? Rabbi Krug, actually.
Oh, what do you mean? He did them on Broadway? Like he let them?
No, in Frisch. He was the director of the drama program there. He did a couple, but I think Leah Stoller. Look at this.
Oh,
A Streetcar Named Desire.
I was thinking, what would be good to do? We're talking about the military. Remember, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Biloxi Blues. Neil Simon's Biloxi Blues. Neil Simon's Biloxi Blues. It takes place in the Army. There's some Army plays. It's a very good play.
I do have one or two Neil Simons here. I'll have to look for them when we're off, and I'll let you know. But yeah, we're headed back to maybe live theater at some point.
Yeah, Theater in the Rapids having auditions next week. We'll see.
You have the lovely picture with the head on there.
I love that. They wouldn't let me keep the head. That head was actually Sherry Burzak, not her actual head, but they modeled it off of Rachel Jacobson, modeled it off of her head. And that was my favorite part. I mean, I love that. I wish my mom were alive so she could see that, She would love that picture. She had the same sense of humor I do, just very gallows, dark sense of humor.
Well, everybody sees that head. Every time I go online, I see you with the head, and I'm like Henry IV. But is there are there beheadings in Henry IV as well?
No, that was just Measure for Measure. Last year there was a beheading. Yeah. There's no beheading in Henry IV. Well, no, that was last year. Yeah.
Are you auditioning for it?
Yeah, might as well. I mean, I have a monologue anyway. I might as well. See, I like auditions because I get to do a monologue the way I want to, and I get to just, when do you get to do that, in front of people, really smart people, like, whether you get in or not, you just got to say a monologue in front of some really people who know the source and understand it and appreciate it. So it's
right.
Either way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We were talking about auditions the other day, and that's like a great way to look at it. It really is about just taking the opportunity to go out there and do work that you have, and you're in or you're out, but it doesn't matter. You went and you did a little performance.
Well, yeah.
You did a little performance. I have to take that into account too.
Yeah. I think one of the ones I liked the best was Steel Magnolias. I did Amanda Wingfield from Tennessee Williams, and Go to the Moon, you selfish dreamer. That one. And I don't know if anyone's gonna do Glass Menagerie. and so that was my chance to finally just say, go to the moon, you selfish dreamer, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. So that's why I like auditions.
I really, 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 really want to do Glass Menagerie.
Yeah.
The only thing is I've been told by a few people, including my own conscious, it's like the biggest thing in the States. Like it's like overdone because it's taught in the schools. So then who wants to see it here? But that's like stupidity talking. We should do it. We should do it.
You could do things that are read in school, because people say, I know that play, or all my sons, stages all my sons. I think that's a great idea. It's like part of, they read it as part of their English curriculum, and so you do it so they get to see it in schools.
Yeah, no, that was a great idea. They really hit something really great with that, and I think they're still doing it.
Yeah.
They're still doing it. I think with the same actors also. It's like they're touring every now and then. But Glass Menagerie is one of my dream plays.
It's a nice play. Very nice play.
To do.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should do it.
Go to the moon, you selfish dreamer.
Got to get the rights first. That's always the rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's important. So is that your favorite? Is that your favorite role? That's what you would like to. That's what you've been.
No, well, one of my favorites is the one I'm trying to get the rights for. But Amanda Wingfield is definitely in anything like classic American plays, and that's one thing that's really wonderful about Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams, Edward Albee, and I guess Stephen Sondheim, although Stephen Sondheim's musical, is they always wrote really good parts for women over 40, 35 to 40. There's always a really good role for a woman who's a certain age. And a lot of the roles for the older women are much more interesting than the roles for the younger women.
Oh yeah.
In musicals, it's the opposite, except if you're talking about Stephen Sondheim and like something like Gypsy, but like you or Follies. But usually it's the opposite in musicals. But in drama, that's where you can still do things and be not be like 20, 25 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you could also stretch the age range for a bunch of these. It's right. Like, you're right. Like I think the reason why that is probably is because there's so much more meat and potatoes for the older character than for a younger character. There's a lot more going on there. There's so much, especially with Tennessee Williams. There's a lot like that. There's a lot of life experience that he wants to explore with that kind of character. What they've been through.
A lot of them writing about their mothers.
Mothers, yeah, their mothers, but the tragedy also, and all of that kind of. But those are all of those playwrights that you mentioned. Like we've done Sondheim here because it's a musical, but like all those plays, definitely, like it would be amazing to see them put on the stage in Jerusalem.
In fact, Albee has a role in Three Tall Women for a woman who's 90.
Wow.
90-year-old and then like a 70 and they're all older women, and that's great, because not many playwrights shy away from, well, not playwrights, but like mainly musicals definitely shy away from age and stuff. Most of them, let's face it.
But you got to be able to dance.
Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you can dance, if you're over a certain age, they don't want you to dance, even if you can do it well.
Yeah.
It never breaks. I mean, everywhere. That's true everywhere. That's not just, certain places.
Yeah. So it was great to have you on Jet Live.
Okay.
And I hope to see you soon outside somewhere.
Yeah.
And walking around. Maybe you'll be on your phone and I'll try, and if I eavesdrop in, I might be able to tell if it's dialogue or not.
Well, I was trying out an argument on a phone when I was in the Super Deal. And I actually think Robert Binder was there the time I was there. It was like on a Friday afternoon. I was trying out an argument, and I tried to keep it soft, but I was like talking, and this lady looked at me as if to say, divorce them. You know what I mean? I was having a real conversation with someone on a phone. Like, who are you talking to? Just leave him, whoever it is.
Well,
It's too loud, but you know.
I mean, you gotta do it the way it's done.
Right.
Argument. Marcin, you must, and also, by the way, if the lady's listening in and she thinks that something's going up there, then it must have been good dialogue because
Yeah.
it worked. Got her attention. All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining.
Okay.
We've got Shavuot coming up, so nothing tomorrow night. But on Sunday, we've got Yael Silver, who's Tony Award producer for Once on This Island, who actually, by the way, Ken Davenport was also a producer on Once on This Island, and he inspired me to do this. So we're going to be talking to her, and then Brian Friedland on Tuesday, and then we'll see.
All right.
So thank you again, Miriam.
Okay, thank you.
Shalom. Shavuos Tov.
And then Shabbat Shalom. And then Shabbat
yeah.
right? All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Can't get out of here.